How to Say Goodbye Without Regret from Blythe Discipline. I watched them from a short distance. They didn't notice me at all. The man squeezed his wife's hand tightly, smiling down at her, sadness etched into his face. She smiled back from the gurney, weakness and weariness carved into hers. They were in their 50s, but their collective countenances betrayed the pain of the very old. "I've never loved anyone more," he offered sadly. He stroked her waxy cheek delicately, like he might break it. "Hey, I wouldn't be going into this operating room if I'd given up," she responded meekly, running her fingers through his gravelly graying beard. He breathed in a trembling breath. I know. I'm hoping too," he blinked away a tear, "but we have to be realistic as well. They said a 10% chance of success," he trailed off, his eyes now streaming openly. "We have to be ready. I have to be ready to accept this as good." "Don't say it," she interrupted, clamping her fingers down on his lips. "Just don't. As long as I'm breathing, I'm fighting." He nodded, squinting through the tears. "But you can't tell me how to feel. Loving someone means you don't get to choose how you show it." The man fidgeted with his hands, not knowing what more to do or say. He was holding a full bottle of her pills and stared at them. "The pain, how is it?" She smiled. "Nothing hurts. Those painkillers pack a punch." He forced a chuckle. "You're flying now, aren't you?" She genuinely laughed. It was a very quiet sound. "You were always afraid to fly." Here he interwove his fingers with hers. "You would make me hold your hand the entire time." She gave him a very knowing look, simultaneously serious and playful. "And who's afraid to let go now?" she asked, looking down at their hands. He didn't, or couldn't, return her playful half. "I'm more afraid than I can possibly say." She shook his fist. "I need you to be strong for me," she coaxed, with more than a hint of desperation. He looked down at the floor and was quiet for a long time. When he did speak, it was clear that he had been crying. "How?" he sniffed. "You are my strength." She was unable to answer him. It was time. I walked over to them, breaking their reverie. "Patient 1913, they're ready for you in the operating room." He squeezed her hand so tightly that he nearly broke it, but he did not say goodbye. 5 hours later, I was beyond what I thought the limits of exhaustion could be, but I was smiling. This was the reason I endured it all. The moment, right now, that changed someone's world for the better was the purpose for which I pushed through the unending sadness of unanswered hospital prayers. "It was a success," I announced triumphantly, pushing the doors open. "She beat the odds. She's doing better than we—" I stopped talking and looked down at the man. He was slumped in his chair, completely still. Clutched in his stiffened fingers was his wife's bottle of pills. It was empty.